Joining me this week, folks, you can hear me okay, Chandra. Hopefully the audio is good. If you can just give us a thumbs up or something that you can hear us, then I'll carry on. Chandra Sharma, that's it, not Chandra Sharma. If you can hear us, he obviously can hear us because he's correcting what I'm saying. It's a good way of finding out if people can hear you is to call them funny names and then they go, "Oh, hey, that's not my name." So this evening, folks, we are for the first time ever live on both platforms, and I am absolutely honoured to have with me this evening. Which way is it? This chap here, Shaun Reynolds, the email postman.
Oh yeah, it is.
There you go. It's the wrong way around, isn't it? So we've got the email postman joining us this evening, and he's put his sack down for the day, and he's come to have a chat about what he does. And I'll be careful how I say that, aren't I, mate? So Shaun is the email postman, and tonight we are going to be talking about email marketing. And we're going to be covering things like email marketing. What the hell is it? What is it? How do you do it? Why do you do it? And what the hell it is, basically. The who, why, what, where, and what does that say? The who, what, why, and WTF of email marketing. So Shaun's, like I say, Shaun's very kindly given up his evening, and we're going to take any questions you've got. If you've got any questions about email marketing, pop those in the comments, and they'll come up on the screen nice and big, so we can all see them, and Shaun will be able to answer them for you. Sure. See, so we're doing this now with comments. If you've got a question, we'll stick your comment up on the screen nice and big so everyone can see it. Susan says, hello, Shaun. Happy days. Hello. Good evening, Susan. Good to see you. I'm going to put this over there so I can see it. There we go. Just means now I'm going to be looking more. Hi, Shaun. How you doing, mate?
Very fancy.
So we're going to be doing things like this. So I've made a few changes to how we broadcast the show. So, Shaun, to get things started, tell us exactly what is the email postman and how long has it been going for?
So email postman started February 2019. So since then we've developed into being a service and a provider of all email marketing aspects, whether it's supporting small businesses through to large retailers on their email marketing objectives and channel. So we can help you mobilize your emails, we can look at automation, or we look at an overall global strategy to making sure we can actually maximize and drive as much traffic through to your business, ultimately open up the top of the funnel to hopefully get more conversions.
Cool. So that's quite a spectacular amount of stuff that you do with email, right?
Yeah, definitely. The range of services that I offer to my clients can be very, very alternative to based on the user and the business. So I might speak to a very large retailer that says, well, we've got a design team, we've got developers, but we just need more of a strategy. So we needed someone to sit alongside of our team, come along to the meetings, into the phone calls, and actually help us strategize and actually get more acquisition of subscribed users. We might have a high database, but it's not converting. What's our retention strategy? Through to people that just go, I don't know what email marketing is. Is it for me? How do I do it? So we've had a lot of phone calls this week with very startup businesses that are literally very scared and worried about the sort of initial jump to making sure that it's right for them, because they've heard so many great things about email, and that niche just means you need an expert to assist you to say, I'm going to guide you through this and give you the foundations to excel in this channel.
Happy days. Because like we were saying last week when we had Sarah Marsh-Collins on, and we were talking about marketing and all the different aspects to it. Some of those aspects to marketing are quite niche and very specialist and require someone's sole focus, like things like email marketing, SEO, pay-per-click. So Shaun here is one of those niches that requires someone's full attention to do it properly. It's the sort of thing where if someone says that they do 10 other things and what Shaun does, you probably should wave them goodbye and bid them a good day.
Yeah, absolutely.
So in that sense, then, so if I could start with our first point, that I wanted to cover tonight, because not everyone has a very clear understanding of marketing. And if they're just starting a business out or starting out in business, it's probably quite frightening for them, the word marketing, because it encompasses a lot of things. So if we could sort of start by saying to anyone who's just starting a business now, not that one, what is email marketing? See, I'm clicking the wrong buttons already.
Yeah, we'll get there, don't worry. Basically, the email marketing is the biggest and best digital channel that will offer you the best return on investment. But to obtain that is to actually making sure that you're taking it at a slow, steady pace if you're a startup business. But the best thing to highlight what is email marketing is the communication with your consumers that have subscribed to your database. Now, the biggest thing that came into play was obviously GDPR. We won't go into too much detail about that now, but everyone pretty knows that hopefully now
that's a scary word, that.
It's subscribed consentable contacts on your database. So making sure that it's clear and concise that the people have subscribed and opted into your database. If you were doing that right in the first outset, you had nothing to be worried about. The problem is prior to GDPR coming in, because it's such a high performing channel, marketers and businesses really hit home and try and squeezed it to death, that all consumers pretty much got fed up with the amount of emails that were coming into their inbox. On top of that, obviously data security, which obviously you may come into another video, Richard, but in terms of like data security and how people's data is being passed around and where it's being hosted and secured. But in terms of like the amount of emails they get from that side of the GDPR aspect, people just fed up with the amount of emails we get, because people were buying lists and you were getting emails from people you've never heard from before. You were getting emails from your fake bank, or you're getting something from Amazon that looked like Amazon, but actually, hopefully we're getting to a point where we're getting a lot more quality emails coming into your inbox now. So hopefully a lot more consumers are seeing this as a preferred channel. And I read something today, and I haven't got the statistics, I'm sure it was today I read, that it is actually now the preferred medium for consumers to digest and receive information. And ultimately for a business, if you want to go out and find consumers, email marketing is the best way, because they're already hot on your database because they've opted in, they've subscribed to your database. As soon as you've got a new launch or you've got something new that's beneficial and digestible to your consumers, then email marketing is the best way to do that.
Yeah, because I think a lot of people for a long time, since email first came about, I think a lot of people, even with the PECL regular, I never get those letters right around.
Yeah.
Even with those laws, they were just flaunted and ignored like crazy. And since email first came about, since the start of time, email was just thought of as a horrible word, or email marketing. It was just thought of as spam, wasn't it?
It is, yeah. What's funny is when my wife would meet friends and would go to barbecues, and someone would explain what I do because I've done email marketing.
You were instantly the enemy, huh?
No one could really understand or even explain what it was. So the easy answer was always, "Oh, you're a spammer then." You send spam because of the consumer's confidence within email marketing. But again, that was several years ago now, and it is becoming a medium that everyone takes it seriously now.
Yeah, it's quite a reputation to shift, isn't it?
Very quickly over a couple of years, and that has become because of GDPR and a lot of quality and the emails that you receive into your inbox are more likely going to be what you've opted into. There are obviously a lot of other dud still coming in, but it's not anywhere near what we used to get to prior to GDPR coming in, because of what was sort of fines and everything that are running about. So
yeah, I can imagine going out for dinner with friends and everyone will say, "Shaun, you'll be having the spam, right?"
Yeah, spam again. Yeah, not for fourth day in a row. But
right, we're going to take the mickey out of him a little bit because it wouldn't be fun otherwise.
No, absolutely. But in terms
I'm sure he's got a page full of stuff that he can reciprocate with.
That's what this whiteboard's for. But basically, people are taking it seriously now. So yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, with GDPR, people are actually a lot more, because they have to prove now how they got your details and the fact that you did sign up to it in the first place.
Correct.
So it's not so much about spam now. It's more a case of, well, actually, you did ask us to send you this. So it's not really thought of as spam. Even if people find it annoying, it's like, well, if it's annoying you, you probably shouldn't have signed up for it. Or, as we'll come on to later, when we talk about things like frequency and content.
Correct.
There's some really, really good topics, actually, that me and Shaun came up with. So you want to stay tuned for the whole show today, because what we're going to cover is quite an eye-opener of what Shaun told me the other day. So if that's what email marketing is, and you're no longer the guy from Always Walk on the Bright Side, what's that guy? You know the guy I mean, right?
I'm going to quickly Google. It's a bit late in the day, so yeah.
spam, that one.
Yeah.
Monty Python.
Sorry, yes.
You're not the Monty Python spam guy anymore.
No.
Excuse me. So if that's what email marketing is all about, a natural progression then is, where the hell do you get started with it, or what do you do?
It's a good question. When Richard and I first met up and actually go through the aspects of what this video is going to entail, and a good starting point is actually the question I get a lot from a lot of startup businesses or businesses that have been around and not utilize this channel is, where do I start? And the best thing to actually do is understand, do you have anything digestible? Do you have anything that is your consumers need to hear from your business? Now, if the answer is yes to that, then you can start building phase one of your strategy, and it can literally start with how do I onboard my consumers? So I have a website and I can get people to sign up to the newsletter. What then? So the first point
when you say onboard, you mean introducing a new customer to your business?
Yeah,
when they've actually decided to jump on board with you.
Yeah, the best thing to start, and obviously you would build the foundations for, is to build a newsletter, a consent like tick box and consentable box on your website, or a pop-up that's incentivized. But ideally, what you need to be able to do is actually educate your news consumers to your brand and your services. And the way I see it is that if you represent your digital presence to a physical presence, if you had a store and a brand new customer just walked in, you've never seen or heard from them before, what is it that you need to tell them about your business for them to have everything they need to convert? Now, ideally, the first thing to do is you would walk in and say, hello, what's your name? Or hello, like we would engage. So ideally, we'd like to be able to take some details from you and sort of like take your first name. That would be the first step. The second step is like, you probably want to know about me. Now, for this prime example, I'm a coffee shop owner. So I sell coffee. So ideally, I'm going to tell you my background, how I started, where I've come from, and this is about me. And they're like, oh, okay, I'm starting to like this.
The next thing to do is getting to know the person behind the business. Okay.
Yeah, like the history of like who I am. So it's a bit about us. And ideally, in an email series sense, you'd wait 7 days, you'd send them an email. But this next stage is actually telling them a bit about the products. So you say, like, these are the range of products I offer. So this is how I farm my products. This is how I get the quality of the beans. And these are the products I offer. And this actually welcome series to educate your consumers gets them to a point where you can come to the end and say, you know everything about me now. Would you like to buy? Because what a lot of people do is that they build websites and they think the user experience is perfect, but does it actually flow in the right manner for them to come straight in as a new person, educate them about the brand and the services, and convert? And that's what a welcome series does. In a series of emails over a set amount of days, says to them, welcome, thanks for coming in and visiting my shop or website, for this example. This is about me. 7 days later, a couple of days later, this is about my history of how a bit about my services, and this is my products. Do you want me to go ahead and purchase?
So that's the sort of ideal scenario for people who you're warming up to become a customer.
Yeah, I would definitely work on that process of, if you are going to have a starting point, you probably haven't got an email database. If you have, then you're going to have a different aspect of making sure that you've got consent that you can email them and attack it that way.
Prove consent as well, right?
And prove consent as well. But I would always start on the aspect of your new subscribers by having a landing page for newsletter. And I've mentioned that a few times over the last couple of weeks of the real purpose of having a newsletter landing page, because you can have it on your website, but people will just glance past it, but you can actually integrate it from social media sites, for example. So I would always start with that. One of the other reasons for you would start that is that when you start with an ESP, and what an ESP is, an email service provider, prime example is probably going to be a startup business, MailChimp. And I'll come on to that later on in different aspect later on in the show. For someone like MailChimp, you started off fresh. So you've got a domain and you've sent out an email. You're brand new. When you start sending out emails, Gmail and Hotmail says to you, okay, your domain that you're sending from is brand new. Let's have a look what your consumers are actually doing with your emails. Are they opening? Are they clicking? Are they unsubscribing? And then you get what's called as a reputation score. And that could be based on two things, your domain and your IP. Now, why we always start at the welcome series is actually you're more likely to get higher open rate engagement through your new subscribers that have signed up to your newsletter by having this database that you've found that people are consentable and you don't really know if they're still there, for example. That if you start sending out your first email, some of them might bounce, some of them might unsubscribe, some of them might go, what the hell is this? I don't know what this is. So I always start with your new prospect first. And that way you can build up an email platform within someone like MailChimp or any other email provider that has a really strong foundation of your domain now has a good reputation and Gmail starts saying, okay, this I can trust this now.
Cool. And on that note, Chandra's got a question for us. She says, can this be integrated with HubSpot?
Yes, HubSpot, you have the ability as a CRM, and there are similar CRMs like Zoho, Marketing Cloud, for example. A lot of other CRMs, you can integrate any ESP, email service provider like MailChimp or any other provider to start sending emails. Now, you might be able to send emails from HubSpot, but if you have a preferred choice that you'd like a separate program to concentrate on your email marketing solely, then yes, you can look at an integration for that. But obviously, if you want any more details about other email platforms, by all means, just visit my website or even get in contact with Richard, who can pass my details on. But we'll come on to other email providers later on, yeah.
Yeah, so this is Shaun's website, the email Postman. Just so if you do want to reach out to Shaun and, damn, I said reach out, that word, I hate that. If you want to get in touch with Shaun, here's his website. Take a look at it so that when you do get in touch with him, you recognize what it looks like and you know that it's actually him that you're reaching, that you get in touch with. So good question, Chandra. That's very this was a very, very relevant question indeed.
But you can actually send emails from HubSpot if you don't like the interface that's available and you want to utilize another provider. A lot of systems do integrate with each other, whether it's Zapier or an API. So if you're not super happy with HubSpot's interface for emails, then that you can integrate, yes, but you can send emails from there if need be.
Indeed, and that brings us sweetly on to a wonderful next point of what marketing platforms are out there. Because, like you say, there's MailChimp, HubSpot. But I'm probably gonna, I bet you if I said there's probably 50 more out there, I probably wouldn't be too far off it, even if I don't know what they are.
Probably even more, to be fair. There are ever evolving, because of the performance of this particular industry, there are up and coming marketing platforms for emails, but there tend to be a lot of front runners. So I get this question asked a lot. Now, a lot of people might say to me, I've got a certain platform, whether it's MailChimp or Campaign Monitor, but I might be looking to move away. My question always is why? Now, well, why are you moving away? And what seems to be the purpose of this? Because they are very powerful and they are each in their own right, the right platform for you. Maybe you're not maximizing it in the right way. So actually, the marketing platforms that people say to me, okay, for example, I'm brand new, where shall I start? And the best start is not actually with the platform, it's actually the business. The business alone is going to be the decision maker based on the size of the team, the involvement of the resources that's required, and the expertise to get those emails out. So you know, if you are a big enterprise, then you need a platform that is matching and mirrored to your business. Or if you are a startup and you are just getting into the intro, then obviously you can start with anyone at entry levels, but they are like for like in their own entity, very, very powerful. But I think it really comes down to your business needs. So I'm not particular or like I never recommend one over the other, because I think they're all fantastic. They're all fantastic. So that's sorted.
You're not a brand bitch to any one particular platform.
No, because I've had a lot of people say to me that one marketing platform is fantastic, and then someone said to me that same platform is rubbish. But actually, when you dig deeper to it, it's actually coming down to the decision making of the business, where they might have not subscribed the right amount of people, they've not got the right opt-ins, they've not got mobile responsive template. Until you start digging real deep into what actually happening on the business side of things, each and every marketing platform will offer you everything you need. It's just adapting it to your actual requirements.
Indeed. So how well is it, would you say, how easy would it be for a new startup or a company, let's say a company started in the last 1 or 2 years, still fairly fresh, fairly new, finding their feet, as it were? How would they get started with a marketing platform, and how would they pick one, if you like? Have you got any good tips and advice on how they might decide, well, is it MailChimp, is it HubSpot, what do I go with?
It's a difficult one, because again, everyone's going to be very unique, a unique case. So there is no be all size fit all for every business. But again, it would come down to the decision making of what is it you're trying to achieve here. If you are a startup business that has sort of minimal content and you're very entry level, then take a platform that is adaptable to you within your price range as well. Because what you have to take in consideration is the actual price factor with all these marketing platforms. So try to factor in the price factor of the provider itself as well. So when you're looking at entry level and whoever that may be, try and fit yourself into a platform that you feel that's going to be set for the next 2-3 years before you start making a decision of, let's happy, but let's ramp this up, or I'm not happy, let's move on to the next level, something else like the next price bracket, or something where I can pull in a developer, or I can pull in a data person, or actually take more time and resources from the design team. But your entry level would actually be based on you as a business and making a decision of where does that fit within my pricing model.
Happy days. Yeah, because some of these platforms I've noticed as well, some of them go from free to, oh my God, that's crazy expensive, really quick, don't they?
Yeah, I guess that's the sales and marketing factor. If they want to get as many people through the door to get using their platform, and that comes across, as you'll for well know, in terms of like even like website design. They get people in the door with a free platform, and then they start pricing up the fact, as soon as you start getting bigger and you want more features, that's exactly how free platforms work. But don't let that put you off that entry level, sending the first 1,000 emails is going to be not the platform for you. If anybody's got if they are in that area that they're unsure, then obviously reach out to yourself, or even come onto my website and give me a call, and we can assess it based on who the business is, what they're trying to achieve, and I can say your best bet is going down this route or X route. So try not. The best thing to do is actually have support from someone like myself, or any other person like you within email, and just get a bit of a third party advice to say, I'm looking to start email, where can I start?
Yeah, good idea. And Stefan just joins us. He says, hi, good evening. Sorry to be late. We'll watch the shame on you, Stefan, for being late. You're very naughty joining us this time of the evening. But don't worry, if you will want to go back and rewatch the rewind. Go back and watch it later, because a lot of what Shaun is saying is actually is incredibly informative. So you're not going to want to miss all that stuff. A question has just come in from Susan. She says, I've been asked to do a mail shot, so I'm currently learning MailChimp it's not a question, as it's all new to me. Okay, any tips for her?
The question I have is, how new is this MailChimp account? You've got to make sure that your setup is watertight. So have you got your from name authenticated from your business? Is your templates, are you using pre-built templates within MailChimp, for example? If you're using custom built templates coming into it, then obviously take that in consideration, make sure that it's mobile responsive. But the other thing is to obviously look at the lists that you'll start sending to, making sure 100% you've got watertight, consentable lists that you're going to send to. Just for those two reasons alone we mentioned earlier, you don't want to send out emails to lists that aren't going to get good quality, because they'll bounce and unsubscribe. It's a waste of money. And the second thing being is that it's just not consentable. So making sure that you're all on the good side. But obviously, if you need a helping hand with any of that, obviously I can support and give a little bit of guidance by saying, here's how you use it, and X, Y, Z. So, for example, within the next 7 days, I believe I'm going to be certified MailChimp provider. So there'll be a certificate that's going to be on my LinkedIn that will be coming up as a certified provider and agency.
You don't have to wear the chimp outfit as well, do you, when you're working?
That's on delivery, unfortunately. Yeah,
it's on order.
One of the smallest descriptions ever. But
only MailChimp when dressed as a chimp.
Because it is like the go-to sort of like platform, that it is a big name in the industry. And again, however you want to do that, if anybody does want assistance and just help their hand, I can just have sort of half an hour, show them around, tell you the basic fundamentals of where things are, domains and templates, and then start sending your emails.
Yeah, I did have this chat with Susan a few days ago. I did say, like, make sure that the list that the client gives you has been approved, that they are sending to people. They haven't just bought it off of eBay for a couple of £100 or whatever. So they are going back to address their list. Awesome. Keep yourself out of hot water, Susan. And she does also say, you'll regret this, Shaun. She says, you may regret offering support, as I well know.
No, you've got my details, Susan. The offer's there. So obviously just drop us a detail, add us on LinkedIn. And then if you ever need a chat or even just sort of like a little Zoom call, got any questions, throw it my way. Absolutely.
Yeah, the good thing is Susan is absolutely awesome to deal with and help out. She's so nice. When you meet those people who are just so nice, you just can't help them enough. As opposed to people who you just don't want to answer the phone to. Susan's one of the nice ones. So, if the phone rings and her name pops up, you always want to answer it, because you always have a nice conversation no matter what.
Give me a shout if you need it.
So, in terms of platforms and costs then, once you get off that free stuff, what sort of cost might a small business, say, a couple of staff, running a few years, what sort of costs might they expect to encounter as their first hop-up point, if you like, from free? Do they vary wildly, or is it all sort of roughly?
Again, like pretty much web build in a lot of these sites actually have a calculation evaluator, so you can start working out a guesstimate of your monthly costs. So, for example, any of the marketing platforms, if you go onto their pricing page once you've made a decision, and obviously use this as your decision maker as well.
That's the bit where you need a good stiff drink in your hand at the time, right?
Have a couple of drinks and think, "Oh, how cheap is this?" You'll be surprised.
I wasn't an alcoholic until I started with HubSpot.
But you will find it's not as expensive as you might think, as compared to other digital channels. And the one of the benefits is that it is one of the most cost-effective channels based on how much it costs to send emails. But MailChimp statistics show that for every $1 is spent on email marketing, on average $40 returned. Now, base that on your conversions as you would, but obviously to give you a bit of an idea of your return on investment, try and look at your database size with the lists. So use the calculator on the marketing platforms to give you a marketing budget, and then obviously assign time and allocation costs to getting it running, or someone's services like mine.
Happy days. Oh, she says, "Oh shucks, we've made her blush now." So in that respect, then, in terms of costs and the platforms, once you do establish that there's a need for it and you've got to start sending out stuff, you developed your storyboard. Is that a right way to put it? Like a storyboard where you warm people up to you? Is it like?
Couldn't have said it better myself.
Happy days. I don't know, because I watch a lot of content creators on YouTube, and that's what they say. So it's what all the cool kids are saying.
That's the way it's the way it's obviously you would onboard or in welcome series, but you are storyboarding your business to
storyboarding. Yeah, that's what we do.
Storyboarding to the consumers to say, hey, this is who we are, and this is about all of us, and then go on and convert.
Would you ever recommend people send? It's just an idea that popped into my head actually. Would you ever because you know what you were saying earlier about how you would create a marketing storyboard to introduce people to your brand prior to them becoming a customer? Would you ever advise it to do something similar? Let's say if you already had a big base of customers, would you ever advise it something that you then do once they're a customer, where you say, actually, you know what, you joined us out of the blue. Let's tell you a little bit about us and so on.
Good question. The best thing to do there is
we get people who sign up out of the blue, don't know them, never heard of them, just signed up on the website, they saw some reviews somewhere and just went for it, and you don't know anything about them.
The answer to that is not to storyboard them or engage like welcome series or onboard them. I missed out. Storyboarding them is actually building a lapsed or re-engagement campaign.
Right.
So look at how long someone's been on the database. So for example, if you know, or you again, a lot of this stuff you just have to throw data through the automation. If you know that your product life cycle is, let's say, 3 months, if a customer hasn't purchased within 3 months, you might want to send them an email on the 4th or 5th or 6th, for example, to say, hey, you've not opened our emails in a while, or you've not purchased in a while. Here's some incentive to go on and purchase again. So I would look at your lapsed and re-engagement to actually bring them back in to say, you're there, but you need to come back, and here's our latest. Since you've opened an email from us last, this is what's changed. So for example, if you're a physical retailer, you might have a new store that's opened. You might have a brand new website that's been launched. So you might want to go back to your re-engaged consumers to say, since you've last opened, we've updated our website. We've moved areas of the website that we feel that's going to be more beneficial to you. Since then, you might want to say, since then, we've launched a new product. So if for example, you might have a trainer website. So you may have some new launches that you've worked with a new brand, for example. For watches, you might want to say that you've introduced a new brand of watch within your watch store and your jewelry store. So I would work it on a re-engagement and lapse basis.
Awesome.
So they know who you are, so you don't need to tell them about your business. But what it is, it's a
reiteration. They've already figured that out by the fact they've signed up, huh?
Yeah, it's just a reiteration of, don't forget, these are our USPs and why we're so amazing.
Cool. So if that's, I think we've done the platforms to death. Chandra has asked this question. So you're the best person to answer that.
Love it. I get it asked a lot. So obviously,
that's probably one that you should walk around with the answer down on your head, right?
Yes. The reason people want more subscribers is two reasons. Is that it's very early entry level stuff, so they want to get more subscribers in because they're new to the email business, or actually they know that it's performing so well that they want more at the top level because email is so fantastic that they want to get more through the funnel. Now there are different ways of doing that, and I've got an array of techniques and tips that that I can share out to everyone afterwards on a one-to-one. But if you can incentivize is great. So if you can reiterate a voucher code if they sign up to the newsletters, so you can have a pop-up, so you can have an exit pop-up, for example. You can have a newsletter section on your website, and again, that can be incentivized, like 10% off your first order if you sign up to our newsletter, or even just beneficial, digestible content. So you may not have a product that actually has a value, but actually in terms of like costs, so people taking a percentage off, but you might have a service that people want to digest there and then when it's around. So if someone has a service that has a blog or alerts, you want to make sure that, hey, you're missing out on alerts and our latest blogs, and the best way to do that is we can email you the blog when it comes to you that you can digest and read. And a lot of people, like, for example, I've spoken to a lot of digital publications online. Now they might not have a service to sell because they might have a free website. So if you've not got a login and you charge people to access your website as a digital publication, you may have a free website like a newspaper, for example, or anything like that. So you need to alert actually the consumers you're missing out on to be the first to hear about the latest news in your area, or the latest one that it's about sports, for example. So it might be your football team. So if you're missing out on this content, so give people a fear of FOMO with a very loose term.
Yeah, build their anxieties and make them not sleep at night, right?
I want that email. There are a lot of other ways of actually acquiring and getting people subscribed onto the database. And if anybody wants, obviously, a lot more that's up to my sleeve on that, again, you can have what I have said a few times this week, and I get a bit repetitive, is a newsletter landing page. And a lot of people don't do that because they say, well, I've got a newsletter on my website. People can sign up because it's in the footer. But that's great because you know that because you've put it on the website. Consumer, it's way down there. Have you checked it on your mobile website? What does it look like on mobile? Because I don't know what the average is for your particular industry. But for example, if you're looking at 60% of your traffic comes from mobile and it looks really poor on mobile, pointless having it on the website. So you have to take that in consideration. Sorry?
Most of ours is actual website, computer-based traffic rather than mobile.
Yep.
Just because of the amount of information people want to see before they sign up,
So this in your example, Jamie, you might want to look at having it higher up, Yeah,
this will tickle you. Jamie's been with us for more years than I can't count on two hands. He started out with us, crikey, 15 years ago. Long time ago. He's a really nice guy, and you couldn't ask to get to know and chat to a nicer person. But this, like you said, some people like certain platforms and others don't. But Jamie uses MailChimp, and he loves it. Lots of ways of building lists, he says, in different verticals. That's actually a good term. Have you heard that before, Shaun? Different verticals?
Especially within email, within MailChimp platform, because MailChimp initially came on board to hit home on the email marketing channel, but actually it's becoming more of a CRM as well. So you can actually send out digital ads. You can update your social pages within MailChimp. You can send posts. Some people don't know you can actually send postcards. You can actually send physical postcards to people's addresses.
Really?
So, yep.
Wow.
So it is an ever evolving marketing channel that Jamie's spoken about. And again, I have no precedence on which is the best. And it really comes down to exactly what Jamie's saying, that he's got a quality list. So it doesn't matter what platform you've got. You've got to make sure you've got a quality list and you've got the knowledge that's behind that. One analogy I look at is that email marketing is like a race car. You can buy the best race car you've got. Until you've got a good race car driver, you're not going to win the race.
No.
So
it just looks good in the paddock, right?
It looks good. You've got email marketing, but it's not performing very well. So you need to make sure that someone who's driving that has the experience and does the work, or even if it just offsets by working with someone to train them up. And I've worked with a lot of my clients. I actually support the individuals that I'm working with in the marketing team. I'm an extension of the team. I don't want to step on anyone's toes. I'm in it for the business to succeed. So if I can support the exec or anybody else and train them up in any areas, I do this a lot with my clients and actually say to them, why don't you just sit with me and learn how this works, and you can start doing it. I'm not going to take the praise of this, but it's really down to actually the experience and knowledge of making sure you're getting the best out of that marketing platform.
Yeah, like we do with people's IT, where we don't tread on people's IT department's toes if they've got an IT person, but we do say that as part of your hosting, you are taking on an entire IT department for nothing. We'll cover your IT needs for free. And if you're not working, then neither are we.
Yeah.
Stefan asks a great question. I'm really enjoying this new software. This is great being able to do this.
It's good, yeah. It's good.
So much cooler. He's buggered off, Stefan. That's what you've done. You've asked one question too many. He's run away.
In my cabin, doors open.
I was going to say, you got any lights in your office, Shaun?
This is good. This is good face lighting.
He's got battery-powered lights on the roof of his office, and it's gone flat in the dark.
People don't know what's on this side.
Stefan says, how will the current situation affect this type of marketing? Won't some people get an overload with info and sales attempt?
Absolutely. You have to take your business and your consumers in a respectable manner. A lot of the emails that you are getting are coming from the CEO and their message from their business that they're updating you about their business, which probably you do need to update your consumers to reassure them that that the business is still moving, or for example, it might be reduced services. But you have to be very sensitive. So yes, absolutely. But again, you may find that your particular industry, if it's online, for example, may not be affected too much by this current climate, and you may be doing better because actually you may find that you're an Amazon store or an online store. But again, you within this current situation, you do have to be respectful on not bombarding. You shouldn't be doing it anyway. Bombarding and overloading where people are actually probably not in the right frame of mind to purchase and convert anyway. So in the longevity of your channel and the business, bear that in mind, that people might just unsubscribe if you are just going to overload them with emails. But again, it is case by case basis on your business and your consumer list. But again, just be respectful, definitely.
Yeah, I think the current situation being where every man and his dog is now forced to do everything online. I think it is easy to forget that it's not just your message that people are now getting. They're getting messages from people they would never normally have heard from, who've had to go online and stay at home. Yeah. So it is easy to forget, I guess, that people are going to be feeling. And I've seen a few people today saying that on LinkedIn, saying that they feel a bit overloaded and overwhelmed with all the business networking that's now online. They're not getting out anymore. They literally feel like they're sitting in front of their computer 24/7. From the minute they get up to the minute they sort of try and go to bed. Email marketing at the moment you're probably going to have to be a bit more sensitive about it, right, Shaun?
Sensitive and respectful, again, just use it on your individual case by case basis. There is no there's no right answer for that. So just the other thing to do here, if you are sending out emails, is actually look at your baselines and your benchmarks of what you're sending out. If you are seeing an influx of unsubscribes, then you that's your answer right there. You need to rein it in a bit.
Yeah.
But everyone really should, and I will come on to this later on. I think we did, but I would ultimately spend as much time on your build of emails as much as time as you look at reporting of your emails. So don't waste your time. Think you've done the best email without actually looking at the reporting. So that comes on to the next best point.
Yeah. So that brings us really nicely on to content and frequency. For those people who are getting started and have never done this before, like you said earlier, you've got to have something that they want to read. When we're talking about getting started, you've got to have a good list of people who want to hear from you. And you've got to have something they want to hear, right? But how often should you be? Should you be sending people big manuscripts every week, or send them a tiny little, hello, how are you, once a month? What's the recommended dosage, if you like?
Yeah, again, this all comes down to the data and reporting. A lot of this comes down to whatever's going to be right or wrong for your business. You'd have to just do some testing, but there are going to have to be some initial decisions to be made in the initial outset before you start sending emails. Is what sort of content is digestible that I think is relevant to my consumers? Do they really want it? Take your business hat off, take your marketing hat off, and put your consumer hat on. If you were the person receiving this email and you're interested in this brand, is it really digestible? Is it anything there that's valuable to them? If you deem that is, then obviously communicate with them. You may even want to do it over a series of emails. But obviously, in terms of content, don't bore people. You've got to build it in a very structured manner.
So don't let me write your
Give them some nice imagery to sort of like drool over if you can, if you've got that available. Don't bombard them with miles and miles of text. The point
so someone like Michelle Roberts, who's coming on in a week or two, I bet she'd have some newsletters that would literally, like you say, people would drool over if they see some really nice photography stuff that she's been doing.
Definitely. I work with a lot more. I'm very lucky in that a lot of the clients that I do work with have some fantastic imagery. So image speaks 1,000 words. So actually you can use the creative to get people in, and then they get the message. A lot of stuff is you have to make people just make a decision there and then once they've opened the email. So if you can get them in on board by having a nice imagery, simple text about a title talking about what this email is about, would ultimately give a lot more time for the consumer to say, yeah, I want to read this. This is for me. What you don't do, what a lot of people do, is send one massive image. That's a no-no. That is an ultimate no-no, and it has been for a long time. You have to look at a fair ratio of 50-50 images and text. So give people a bit of images and a bit of text. If anything, you want a bit 60-40. You want 60% text and 40% images, but have a nice balance. But don't overload people in terms of what is in your newsletter. Whatever you do, don't send one massive image, because if you are sending to devices where images are turned off, all they see is a blank image that says download the pictures, which most of the time people aren't going to download because they're wary of doing these things these days. And also, I'm not going to download images if I don't know what it is. So whatever you do, don't send it as one big image.
So Epidemic Sound, if you're watching this, behave. They keep sending me emails, and the images in them are this yay big. They don't even fit on your screen. When you open it, you have to. You're not just scrolling up and down. You're scrolling sideways just to read. So you know what? Unsubscribe. I'm not reading any more of those because they're just
exactly. You're gonna frustrate. And I think we spoke about this the other day, Richard. That I recently worked with a client where we introduced a mobile responsive template, and I had an email from from someone I signed up to, and the experience was so poor that I mentally remember every time I see an email on my phone when I'm out and about, I'm probably going to delete it and just disengage. But for example, I introduced a mobile responsive template, and I said to the client, "You'll get a better and open click-through rate." And they questioned it. What do you mean by better open rate? They haven't opened it yet. How do they know it's a better looking email? And that's it.
Before you jump too much into the responsiveness, Sarah's got a question for you.
Yes.
Sarah says, "Wow, that's a nice photo, Sarah. Who took that?" She says, "Email marketing is still the most effective way to reach clients. Right now, it's never been a better." That's not the question. Here's the question. My bad. Here it is.
He's learning.
What's Shaun's top tips for getting people to actually open an email?
Thanks, Sarah. The best way to do that is actually possibly start with a question. So you actually engage with your consumers by asking a thoughtful question or a statement. You can use a sense of urgency within your subject lines. So you can use subject lines to get people to open the email to a sale that's coming up that ends today, ends tomorrow, or it's a relevant store opening or closure within your local area, for example. And another one is actually, a lot of people don't think, is you can start personalizing your from name. So if you have an email, you could potentially send it from someone from within the business. Now, for example, if you have a physical store, you could send out personalized emails that appear to be looking from that store manager, for example.
Right.
So you can, or even if someone is a blog writer for a newsletter, you can have the email from a newspaper that you signed up to, but you can have whoever written that blog article, you can appear to be from that business.
It looks like it comes from the journalist.
Yeah, it comes from the journalist. Try not to, in the from name, don't actually have it as just their person's name solely, because they've not signed up to that person, remember. They've signed up to the person from that business. So take that into consideration if you are going to use the sender alias as a person.
Cool.
But use that urgency in questions and things like that.
So, yeah, and Sarah makes a good point as well, is that when you go back to sending massive images, it eats up a lot of mobile data as well. It certainly does.
It does actually bore people as well.
Yeah, and she makes another good point. This is what happens when you get two marketing experts on the same show. One's the guest on the show, and the other one's saying, "Yeah, don't forget this, don't forget that." This is awesome. It's wonderful to have this. Yeah, she says email marketing is about what your clients want, not what you want to say. It's about what they want to hear, right?
Yeah, definitely. It's digestible content.
Yeah, exactly. She does say, can you tell us about split testing?
Absolutely.
Are you all right till midnight?
Yeah, let's roll. Let's get the coffee machine going. So
enough beer in your office?
I think we're on a good roll here, so let's carry on. So absolutely, split testing is the option to test either subject line or content, or in sometimes some email marketing platforms have different array of split testing, but generally it looks at content or subject line. So the way to split test it on subject line would be, you might have a marketing meeting and you've got two people fighting over what the newsletter on Friday should be, the subject line. And I'm never a decision-based, opinionated decision maker. I don't have an opinion. I think it will work based on data. And the best way to do that is to say, well, let's test it then. I'll test yours against mine.
More a scientist rather than a faith believer.
Yeah, exactly. It's I believe. That's the best way to run
Emailologist.
That would be, yeah, I like it.
That's a good name, actually.
Yeah.
It's emailology.
I've seen some fancy names on LinkedIn, yeah. And I might change it to emailologist. But obviously, working on split testing on subject line is ultimately to get the best open rate. That's what a split test does on subject line. It can't affect really the outcome of the click-through rate. But in terms of the split testing on content, you can then use content within the emails to determine which is the best content you put in front of someone. So, for example, you might have a subject line that is a green button or a blue button. You might have a call to action that is higher up the email or lower down. For example, you might have the terminology of the call to action. You might say, download our brochure here, or free brochure, for example. So you would then look at the split testing to see what would get the best click-through rate on that.
Yeah, so you're basically trialing different things and see which gets the best response, right?
Yeah, exactly. There is a marketing platform that has a availability of split testing to use a specific URL. Now, this is quite unique. So if you have an array of links within your email and your ultimate goal is to drive people to one URL, there is a marketing platform out there I know that has split testing that says what's going to get you the most clicks on that URL. Anything irrelevant of your logo links or your menu button or anything else, on that specific URL, what gets you the best click-through rate, and you can start using split test on that. It's super powerful.
Wow.
So if you're,
it's quite an education for how you're writing as well, right?
yes, if you want to drive people through to a specific goal, you might have loads of clicks on version A, but quite a small amount on the actual goal link you're aiming for, against actually a smaller amount of clicks on B, but actually it's higher quality because you want to drive them through to the sale page, for example.
Happy days. Excuse me. Sarah's asked the question. I know you don't like answering it. What's your favorite marketing platform?
I've maximized all the marketing platforms, so thanks for the
very strategic answer.
Yeah, thanks for that position, Sarah. But again, all jokes aside, it really comes down to what I and Jamie was even referred to earlier. It's having the quality list data, content, and the experience to maximize that channel will get you your favorite email marketing platform. So it will be good for you if you can make sure that you're doing all the steps and the elements right.
Cool. Happy days.
That got me
awesome. Thanks a lot for that, Sarah. Much appreciate you putting him on the spot like that.
Thanks, Sarah.
Feel free to do it again before he goes. So moving on from there then, obviously we were talking about creating content and responsiveness. So try and be aware of, try not be conscious of how long we've been online for, and people are probably dozing off. I know a lot of people that were at BBN had an early start this morning at 6:30. So if we, in terms of creating content and responsiveness, would you say that what you've just actually covered about the links and the click-through rates and the split testing actually kind of covers about creating content, or is there anything you can add to that?
Yeah, mobile responsiveness is what we need to take into consideration here, is to making sure that your content is digestible on mobile and even on desktop. We talk about responsiveness, and I think what's great within your title here, Richard, is actually using the word responsiveness rather than mobile responsiveness, because in your particular example where you have a huge screen, that's not been taken into consideration because it's not been tested to all devices and browsers. So the best thing to do here is look at your content, run it through a tester, someone like Litmus or Email on Acid, just two names.
Did you say Email on Acid?
Yes.
That sounds like fun.
They're fantastic. There are device testing platforms that you can look at. Again, Litmus and an Email Acid, that you can run your email through these, either integrated into your marketing platform or direct an email through to these guys, and they'll send you a report through that says, here's what it looks like on all these different devices, whether it's images off on Gmail, on Hotmail, whatever. So you need to take that into consideration when you're sending out emails, that everyone's going to get it in the best format that they can digest it in. So that's what I would do. But again, obviously creating content, as we mentioned earlier, is to have a ratio of 60-40.
Yeah, I think the whole, pretty much almost everything we've talked about tonight revolved around the content and what people want to see. So to send people off to bed then, and give them something to think about, so they can wake up tomorrow morning, hit the ground running. Right, here's what we're going to do. If you could give any of our viewers 5 top tips of, what's your must-dos, or your, if people could take something away from this, what would you give them that say, right, okay, this is what I want you to wake up and start thinking about in terms of email marketing?
Okay. This is going to be on the fly because I wanted to base it off everyone's involvement in this chat as well as our sort of conversation today. But the top tip one of my top tips is to not, and I mentioned this earlier, is not send out one big whole image in your emails. Don't send out a large image. Doesn't do your performance and your efforts any good. You're only going to jeopardize your efforts and your email marketing channel. The second one being is to have, and again, we mentioned this, we touched on this earlier, is to have a good quality list. And I think, there's no hierarchy of these tips right now, but in terms of having a good quality list is going to be is going to be your winner to making sure this channel works for you. Don't
I'd say
let it.
that's one of your foundations, isn't it, Shaun?
What's that?
Having a good quality list is probably the concrete foundations of getting it all started, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. I think it's definitely it's a core starting point. And a lot of these factors are going to sort of overlay and in terms of what is important for email marketing. So definitely the quality of the email list. The other top tip we mentioned earlier, just to reiterate, I think the top tips going to be today is just a sort of a conclusion of the whole video today, and I would suggest is actually the onboarding. They don't really people don't pay too much attention, so they just think people get onto the mailing list and actually sign them up, send them an email straight away, onboard them, and put them straight in.
Yeah.
The other top tip I was going to give today is actually I mentioned it a few minutes ago, is actually the reporting. Now, a lot of these marketing platforms can give you very sort of either entry level or really in-depth reporting on your marketing channels. So what you wanted to be able to do, and people really need to take note here, is don't just look at the good performing aspects of your email marketing in terms of like your opens and clicks. Don't be afraid to look at the negative side of things, because you've got to make sure that this works right for you. So don't be scared to look at your bounce rate, your complaint rate, and your unsubscribe rate. You've got to take those seriously, because if your unsubscribe rate is high, you're doing something wrong, or you've done something wrong recently. If you've had a high bounce rate, for example, something might be wrong on your website. You might have to put a recapture on your newsletter form. You might have had a spam attack or an influx of emails. So you've got to look at that side of things. So really, and also looking at the junk factor. So people might not find. So what I find is where, again, this comes onto content. If you've not built your email right, and it's and your unsubscribe link is difficult to get to, or in some cases when your email's too long, on Gmail you have to click a button that says on mobile, click here to read more. Now that sounds a great idea. People are going to click it, they read more, but they don't. If people want to go down there and find the unsubscribe and they can't be bothered, you know what they're going to do. They're going to scroll right to the top and say mark as junk. It's a massive black mark. Well, not black mark. It's a massive mark against your domain center that people just gone, I really don't want this, and you've not given them the opportunity to unsubscribe. So look at the negative side of the reporting and act on it on a very responsive way. And again, if you can't do that and you don't have the ability to look at the reporting, definitely reach out to me, because if you are, for example, a MailChimp user, I've got a MailChimp campaign dashboard that you literally throw the data into the one tab and all the other tabs populate in terms of a graph for open rates, bounce rates, and you can immediately visually see when I see a spike in bounces or unsubscribes, or even obviously on the good side, good opens and good clicks, and say, I want to do that again. That was great. That was fantastic. But again, you've got to look at the reporting. So if anybody does use MailChimp and they want a campaign dashboard, then obviously reach out to me and I can set them up with that.
Happy days. We tempted fate a little bit. Sarah has asked another question. So let's put you on the spot.
She's going to get a text from me in a minute. So it always starts. So I've been in e-marketing about 14 years, and anytime I used to go to a webinar, seminar, anything I would attend or an event, a lot of people would always start with, "Is email marketing dead?" And I have a joke with a friend of mine who's now moved on to abroad to work with digital marketing. We always have a joke when we see these things, because you see them on LinkedIn all the time. It's clickbait. That's all it is. There's nothing else. It's pure clickbait to get people reading, and it's really poor attempt of any sorts of means to get people to read the content. And if you ever see me do it, then obviously take me up on it and slap my wrist. But if I do if I do it online, it will be in a humour and comedy sense. But no, it's not. It is the best performing digital marketing channel. And again, if I'd like to share the links on those statistics, you can Google it. That again, it is for every $1 spent, 44 returned. And again, if you're doing it right, it would be even better for you based on your business and your profit margins, for example, on your business, could be even more than that. So again, what you deem as a success will email will bring that for you, if not more. So no, definitely not.
Yeah. So what we'll do, anything that Shaun wants to share the link with, we'll put those in the show notes afterwards. And obviously, there's a blog that follows up on this show every week as well. So everyone that's come on the show, we do a blog post about it and a little bit of a featured guest slot on the WESH.biz website. And any notes and stuff of relevance and anything that that needs to go in there can also be added in there as well. So that's pretty much. Did you run out of 5 top tips, Shaun?
I think I've got 4.
Yeah, I stopped counting. I was like, I've lost count now. Is anyone counting? So that was number 1. What's the other 4, Shaun?
That was 4 right there, definitely.
We're getting our money's worth.
And again, I think the 5th and title top tip is going to be based on what Sarah was saying. Is that the tip is to have faith in email marketing that it is going to work for you. So don't hold back. This is going to be.
You said you only believed in the numbers.
This is going to be the one for you. Well, thanks, Susan. Yeah, she's been writing down and counting them. So definitely.
Susan's been counting. Typical. That's 4.
Yeah, the tip is to use someone and develop this channel. So if you don't have anyone to work for this business, then actually reach out to someone like myself, or even just make that leap and just start learning YouTube videos and look at your marketing platforms and just and build a slow crawl, walk, run of one of my previous managers taught me that you've got to get out there and it will work for you, but just take it in slow stages. But one of the tips is just get going.
You fancy blushing, Shaun? You got a bit of a fan, mate.
I'm wearing foundation, so we're
not going to see him blushing, and it's really dark in his office.
Yeah.
But yeah, in talking to Shaun over the last couple of days and looking at what he does and stuff, it's pretty obvious that he's no newbie who's trying his luck here. It's the guy knows what he's talking about, and just the way he talks about it as well, you can tell he's not as bored by it as what when someone says to me, "Can you do some email marketing?" I'd be like, "What? No thanks." My geekness is screwing around with servers and breaking things to the point where pushing things to where they break. But Shaun's expertise and talent is, crafting well-written.
The best decision I ever made was definitely starting Email Postman, because I'm super passionate about email, and I think anybody that has ever spoken to me, and Sarah would definitely back me up here, is that the passion I've got for this channel has got a lot more stronger over the last.
He means our YouTube channel, right?
It's got better, but it's got stronger based on working with an array of clients and services and industries that I can just jump in and out of all the time. So I get an email or a phone call all the time that I just really didn't expect to come through, that I can say, right, I want to be part of this. So I want to be able to make sure that I can be extension to my passion to say to people, hey, I love email, and I want people to go off and talk in their marketing meetings that, we've got this new guy, or even we've started email marketing and it's fantastic, it's the best thing ever, and it's the sole purpose of marketing meetings, for example. Or for example, if you've got a launch, for example, I want email to be the number one you think about. I don't want you to think, how many digital ads do we put on, what do we put on YouTube or social media, or for example, I want people to think, our number one thing first when we're doing this is going to be, what do we do for email?
Yeah, it's a wonderful feeling being able to deliver something for a customer or help a customer in a certain way where you can actually see the positive outcomes of it. And and know that that what you've done has actually made a difference. I've had a few people before in real life networking meetings where I've stood up and told people what I do, and sort of 5, 6, 7 people around the room have gone, "Oh yeah, you're pretty good. Yeah, he's done stuff for us as well." It's such a nice feeling to know that you've actually, not just that you've done your best because you really enjoyed it, but when you see what other people have got out of it as well. That's the nice part.
Yeah, and I also get testimonials or really nice emails from my clients just out of the blue that said, and again, you can look on my LinkedIn page or my website for testimonials from my clients. And I don't push too hard on case studies or testimonials. And I, when I get to that stage, I will start developing a bit more of a case study page on my website. But if you have a look at my LinkedIn and my testimonials on my website, they will show some really nice words from my clients. And I'll get something on Teams or WhatsApp or anyone that says to me that I work with that says, thank you so much for everything you've done over the last 2 weeks, or the last sort of couple of months. Or even a client recently out of the blue just said, "Look,
have you sent Sarah any money, by the way, or bottles of wine?"
The latter. But in terms of like, for one example, I had a client that said that he's going quiet, but if it wasn't for you last year, the channel wasn't going to be the performance that it is now. And they were so thankful. So
yeah, it can make the difference, can't it, between success and just mediocre and even failing if you do it wrong. Alrighty, well that's our 5 top tips. I think we've exhausted the living daylights out of Shaun. He's probably want to go and finish his beer and have a snooze, and get ready to do it all over again tomorrow, no doubt. I can't thank you enough for joining us, Shaun, especially at such short notice. Shows you what a gentleman he is as well, because I only asked him to come on the show a few days ago. Friday? Yeah, about Friday, and we sort of figured all the details out, and he was very accommodating and was like, "Yeah, no problem, happy days." So he really does mean it when he says, give him a call, talk to him. He really does make some time to talk to you. I mean, he's a nice guy too. And yeah, not as nice as Sarah, of course, because she'll kill me if I don't say that. And yeah, thank you to everyone who's come on the show tonight and badgered us with questions and comments. It's much appreciated, because the more we see people taking part and enjoying it and getting something out of it, it's the motivation to do it all again next week. If no one joined in and no one took part, it'd just be a case of, it's just 2 guys sitting there talking to each other. And as fun as that is, it's more fun when everyone else joins in. Yeah. So thank you very much for taking part tonight, Shaun. It's been much appreciated. Hopefully we can have you back on the show at some point in the future and see how things are going. That would be awesome.
Absolutely, and we can do that at a later stage. If anybody wants to reach out, we can have this on a one-to-one.
Well. Hang on, Sarah's going to. If the window suddenly breaks, Sarah's just said she's going to chuck something over. She's not outside watching on her phone. So yeah, it's been wonderful having all the guests on tonight, Susan and Sarah. And we hope you'll join us again on more shows in the future. Next week, I have an awesome guest coming up, and I think her favorite color is red. So we're really going to enjoy having her on, because she was the motivation to get this show started and kick it off in the first place. And she was basically the person who took me from wanting to do it to get your finger out your arse and just bloody get on with it, will you? So she is a wonderful person to have around. And she's coming on next week. Hopefully next week the show is going to be at 7 o'clock, a little bit earlier, so that on Wednesdays people who have had early starts don't struggle so much. And I'm hoping to start experimenting with the show times a little bit, just make it a little bit earlier in the evening so people aren't so tired or falling asleep halfway through, or if you're pioche, then you're probably fell asleep before the show even started. So 7 o'clock next week. Same place, same time. We'll now be on Facebook and YouTube at the same time. So you can watch us in stereo vision if you want, and if you're brave enough. And hopefully she'll have a lot of fun next week. She says, yeah, and 35 to 40 minutes. Yeah, okay, we'll try and cut it down from the 2-hour show down to 30, 45 minutes. So thanks again, Shaun, and hopefully everyone will stay safe, stay home, and have a great weekend. It's not going to be a sunny one to get out in the garden or sit by a window in the sun. And thanks again, Shaun, and I wish everyone a great evening.
See you later.
Thanks, guys. Take care. Bye.
Bye-bye.